Unbelievable what we're watching on the streets of New York City tonight. My alma mater, Columbia University, under siege here. You now have the police moving in to arrest so many of these students. I've got scenes I want to bring you. We can go live to the ground right now. This would be courtesy of AP. Just take a look at some of these things. You have to bear with me because almost there. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. You can watch it right there. You can see there is some police presence on the ground right now. Again, these live pictures coming to us from AP, and we're watching them here in real time. Officers are taking protesters into custody there at the university. I want to show you some scenes that have just been coming into us from various different sources as we see some of these students getting arrested here. We'll go to one right now.
It's clearly getting ready to go in. I've covered lots of this sort of stuff around the world, and I've never seen this many police moving.
This is just moments before outside the main area there, the gates.
Where is this control room? Where's
this? This is 114th Street, east of Broadway. So they are as close to campus as you can get. There is.
Yeah, this is east of Broadway, and again, that's sort of, right on Broadway. So you can see some of this here getting rather ugly. These are the police there clashing with some of the students. Fortunately, from what we can tell, nothing here has gotten violent per se, but just obviously a really complicated situation and a really unwelcome situation. Some of the students there have been put onto the buses. They have been taken into custody. They basically earlier in the day, or actually just last night, overtook what's known as Hamilton Hall, and in doing so, what they were trying to effectively do is cause more and more chaos. The universities have been complaining that not all the people being arrested are actually students, that you have protesters, effectively people who do this for a living, right? That this is their main gig, and they've been out there actively protesting. Again, I want to bring in some of this video here as it comes into us. My producer David working hard to get some of this in for you right now, and let's indeed do that. Let me see if I can just pull this over. Okay, so New York obviously clearly prepared, highly prepared for a difficult evening. They're complete with many individuals and all sort of the paraphernalia that they would need to go with it. Another video coming to us right now. You can see here they are going into Hamilton Hall, which had been taken over. So this is their attempt right here to go into Hamilton Hall, which had been taken over. And you can see really out in full force in riot gear as the students are holed up inside. It's honestly just shameful. It's shameful that it has come to this. But finally, the Ivy League president there coming forward and doing what she needed to do. I mean, for too many days, she was trying to negotiate, and those negotiations, they effectively went nowhere. And they went nowhere because, look, the reality is when you're dealing with people that are so far out there, again, I'm just checking some of this video as I bring it to you, and this is awful. I mean, this is just really awful. So the police and the protesters clashing in a big way. More than 1,000 protesters have been arrested. Think about this, throughout the country over the last 2 weeks. The city of New York, the mayor, Eric Adams, had advised that Columbia protesters really needed all of this to end now. For whatever reason, the woman who's running Columbia was not able to. I mean, she drew a line in the sand, right? Just the other night, she said, you absolutely, positively cannot be engaging in this. And yet this is what they chose to do. They continued to engage in this outrageousness. Again, I want to go back to the live pictures coming into us right now of, there you are, you're courtesy of AP right here. This is live on the ground at Columbia University. I believe this is over on Morningside Drive. or on, actually this looks like it's on Broadway. So at like 116th and Broadway, those are where the main gates are that go into the big campus where they have had these encampments. There's just so much anger out there, and people are saying, like, why was this allowed to continue? I mean, can you imagine if things were reversed, for example, you would have had a very, very different scenario. But it has been allowed to continue. It's been festering and festering and festering. And so not until now have we really seen an escalation that will result in students being expelled, students being exposed, because don't forget, that's part of their amnesty thing. They don't want their names associated with this. I'm like, okay, you don't want your name associated with, you want to cover yourself with a mask and you want to get up there and cause this kind of discourse. That's not peaceful protesting. You have just crossed over a line into no longer being a peaceful protester. It's utterly disgusting what's going on. But Colombia has effectively become the epicenter for all this, in part because every politician is making the rounds. They can't help themselves, right? Ilhan Omar saying some really stupid stuff, if you ask me. We heard from Ilhan Omar saying effectively, well, I'll play it for you in a second, but new video again. Once again, this one coming to us courtesy of Fox.
Tonight's breaking news.
Let me see if I can bring this up to our screen as well, because I really do think all of this, you guys, is worth seeing right now. You got to know exactly what's going on. This is Ted Cruz weighing in on the destruction we're seeing at one of America's finest universities.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz is with us. Senator, in my lifetime, when I started in radio and TV, I never thought I would be seeing, repulsive, virulent anti-Semitism in the halls of Congress, at college universities, all across the continent of Europe, in the continent of Australia. I never thought I'd hear gas the Jews, F the Jews. I never thought I'd hear over and over from the river to the sea. I never thought I'd hear death to America and death to Israel. And all of this has happened. All of these cops will put their ass on the line tonight and end up arresting kids that are willing to throw bottles and rocks at them at some point, because that's happened in the past. Wouldn't surprise me if it happens again. And all of them will be released, and likely none of them will be charged, and they'll all be let out probably within an hour or two. How pathetic is that?
Look, Sean, it is utterly disgraceful. It is heartbreaking to watch what is happening. This is America. This is not Poland pre-World War II. This is not Europe on Kristallnacht. This is America in 2024. And this is a result of the sickness that has taken over our universities. This is a result of cultural Marxism that has infiltrated and seized control of the faculty and the administration. These are violent protesters that are threatening the lives and the safety of Jewish students. Let me ask you something, Sean. Where is Joe Biden tonight? Where is the Attorney General tonight? Where is the FBI tonight? Where is the governor of New York tonight? I think back to Dwight D. Eisenhower when you saw racist Democrats in the 1950s blocking the integration of public schools, and President Eisenhower stood up and sent in the National Guard. Why will Joe Biden not do so? And you said in your opening monologue exactly right. Because the people threatening the lives and safety of Jewish students, Joe Biden wants their vote. Tragically, today's Democrat Party, it's not just the radicals. It is Joe Biden. By the way, where's Chuck Schumer and where's Hakeem Jeffries? The leading Democrat in the Senate, the leading Democrat in the House are both New Yorkers, and yet they are utterly silent at the fact that Jewish students are being terrorized today in Manhattan. It is disgraceful. And I'll tell you what the president of Colombia should do. I'll tell you what the mayor of New York City should do. They should say anyone engaged in violent protesting, anyone threatening the lives of a fellow student, they will be arrested, they will be prosecuted, they will be expelled. And if they are not from the United States of America, they will be deported. And you don't have a single Democrat with the courage to say that.
Think about how amazing that is. Think about how amazing that is. Here,
and
looking at more pictures coming to us this time from CNN.
I've covered lots of this sort of stuff around the world, and I've never seen this many police moving into one area.
Okay, let's
He's
talk
saying
about
he's never seen this many police, but believe me, they need it.
Where is this control room? Where's
this? This is 114th Street, east of Broadway. So they are as close to campus as you can get. There is
Yeah, as close to it as you can get. Look, it's the epicenter there. Unbelievable, just unbelievable. You know, Ted Cruz making some really, really, really good points. Really good points, everyone. Because I have not heard enough from Democrats. I really have not. The one Democrat I have heard from, well, a couple. AOC was on campus earlier. It's actually siding with the protesters. Here are the police, ladies and gentlemen, going up into Hamilton Hall, where those kids have taken over. By the way, they were making demands for food and water and this and that. The other, I got to play that one. That just blew me up. Unbelievable. Like somehow you're entitled. You're so entitled. You want everybody else to pay for your food and water. They're like, well, you know, we're on the university. We're on the meal plan. No. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. But it speaks volumes about who they are. I told you the other day about how this was actually being funded by none other than George Soros. Okay? George Soros. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. His money, $300,000 of his money from Open Societies went into funding the Students for Palestine organization. And so a lot of these people that are there, they're paid protesters. They get paid thousands of dollars to do this. And it's pretty darn terrifying. It's pretty darn terrifying. It's pretty darn upsetting. And yet this is where the money's going. So like, how is anybody having any kind of future when this is the reality of what we're dealing with and what we're living with now? I do want to show you Ilhan Omar because it is just horrendous what this woman said. Really kind of no sense of, frankly, anything. She was on the campus just a couple weeks ago before things really started to heat up, and it was not pleasant. Actually, before I show you Ilhan, take a look at this girl. This girl, one of the protesters inside Hamilton Hall, she had all kinds of demands. She had all kinds of demands for food. She gets into it. Watch this with a reporter.
The university be obligated to provide food to people who've taken over a building?
Well, first of all, we're saying that they're obligated to provide food to students who pay for a meal plan here.
But you mentioned that there was a request that food and water be brought in, unless I misunderstood.
To allow it to be brought in. I mean, well, I guess it's ultimately a question of what kind of community and obligation Columbia feels it has to its students. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill, even if they disagree with you? If the answer is no, then you should allow basic, I mean, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus, but this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water?
But they did put themselves in that very deliberately, in that situation and in that position. So it seems like you're sort of saying, we want to be revolutionaries, we want to take over this building, now would you please bring us food and water?
Nobody's asking them to bring anything. We're asking them to not violently stop us from bringing in basic humanitarian aid.
No. She actually wants them to bring it. It goes on.
We are looking for a commitment from them that they will not stop it violently.
They haven't stopped it.
Well, I don't know to what extent it has been attempted, but we're looking for a commitment.
And the Grubhub.
We're looking for a commitment. You're looking for a commitment, girl. Wow. More video I want to bring you here. We've got some video, if I can show you, of Columbia University just last night when they decided to go all in with their smashing of windows at Hamilton Hall, the same place where she's standing outside demanding food. How's that not violent? They took over Hamilton Hall. They decided to rename it in honor of a child that had been killed in Gaza. They moved all their stuff in. Apparently they forgot their food. But they were animated, they were excited. And this has just gotten worse, progressively worse each and every day. So now that they have taken over from people with scarves and everything, so you can't identify them, then they were starting to make demands in terms of what they wanted from the administration. They wanted total forgiveness. They wanted this totally off their records because somehow this is okay. I'm sorry, that's not intimidation? When you're breaking windows, taking over buildings, that's not a form of intimidation? And you know, we talk about Columbia because that's getting the most of the attention right now. It's like they want to have this throwback to 1968. But there's other schools where we've seen some pretty heinous stuff. Emory University, UT having Princeton University, Yale University. I gotta tell you, I'm utterly disgusted by some of the chants that I heard at Yale University. And you can go back to what we saw just at University of Pennsylvania several months ago where they were chanting from the river to the sea, which is a direct genocide meaning, has that meaning. And these Ivy Leagues can sit there and say, oh, I know that guy didn't mean it. No, that's right. I'm sorry. You know what it means, all right? You know darn well what it means. And this is being tolerated. What is this? The whole movement all over again. You see they're back for seconds. They're back for round two. They're gearing up for what could be a really contentious election cycle. Americans, we don't stand for this. We don't like this. We are not Marxists. And that's what these people are. Here we go. I want to show you another piece of video coming to us. This is of Hamilton Hall, guys. And again, we've been looking at Hamilton Hall, but here you see them having taken it over. And once they take it over, they decide to rename it. Voila. Okay, so this is again a continuation. My gosh. $70,000 a year. How do you like that? Hins Hall, they're renaming it and considering themselves victorious. Victorious, victorious, victorious. Look, we got a real problem with these people. But you know, we talked to the administration and they're okay with it. Let's see, Kamala Harris actually making the rounds today, and Kamala's saying that, you know what? We ought to just make sure we keep paying everybody's tuition bills. Yeah, that's her idea. Kamala Harris wants to make sure that everybody who can get tuition from the Biden administration, because, you know, they're in the process of buying votes, can actually get it. And so she was doing some big conference just a couple hours ago. Nobody's saying anything on this.
What we have seen, we have now forgiven over $150 billion in student loan debt.
We need to forgive more. We need to give
on average, we're looking at somewhere around $70,000 per person. And especially if we're talking about people in public service, nurses, firefighters, teachers, and doubling the number for them. But one of the other things I'd ask the leaders here in terms of helping me get the word out, let people know they qualify for student loan debt even if they never graduated. And what we have seen, we have now forgiven over $150 billion in student loan debt.
You qualify even if you never graduated. She wants to make sure you know that, because, you know, there's just plenty of opportunity for everybody to go back and go destroy college campuses, as they say. I want to get you back to the pictures live that are just coming in. Let's go back to Associated Press for just a moment. Actually, producer David just sending in some more things. Here's a student that seems to be, you don't even know if it's a student. I don't know if there are agitators out there that are engaging in this. And this particular person is getting carted off by the police. Let me bring this to you right now. Voila. Here we see somebody clearly in trouble with the police. Now, the president of the university, she wanted to avoid this, right, at all costs. You see these scenes. She wanted to somehow avoid this situation, but indeed, here we are. And you know what? Sometimes this is what it calls for. It is what it is, right? I mean, you think about what happened during Black Lives Matter. You think about how they told us, oh, the protests weren't violent. They weren't threatening. I think they're pretty threatening. I mean, I really do. Just within the last 24 hours, they've certainly turned pretty threatening on Columbia University's campus. And this is not acceptable. It's not okay. And something has to be done. I'll be curious to see if the mayor is going to come forward with a statement.
Clearly,
it would be an appropriate thing to do.
I've covered lots of
listening in again. This is a reporter over at CNN.
I've never seen this many police moving into one area.
Okay, let's talk about the shot we're now. Hey, Miguel, this shot we're seeing now. Where is this control room? Where's this?
This is 114th Street, east of Broadway. So they are as close to campus as you can get. They're in, and police clearly getting ready to go in. I've
truly
covered
awful
lots
stuff.
of this sort of stuff
I want to
around
bring
the
you
world,
back, as I
and I've never
said, to
seen
some of the
this many
scenes that are
police
coming
moving
into us
one
right
area.
now. Real and live time, not as exciting, obviously, as some of the video I was showing you. Hopefully this is an encouraging sign. Maybe they were actually able to get all of the protesters out there. Not so certain that that is the case, but again, this is what we're seeing getting fed in right now from the Associated Press there. You basically get a lockdown situation. I'm very familiar with this area. As I said, I went to school there at Columbia and lived over at 119th and Broadway. So I used to walk through this area. So if the subway would let you out around 115th and Broadway, and I'd walk through this campus area every single night to get to the other side of campus, where you had Riverside and Amsterdam. And so I'd get out on Amsterdam, and I lived at 119th actually in Amsterdam right there. And you know, this is almost unthinkable to me. It's really unthinkable, and it shows you how quickly sentiment can actually change. It's really disturbing that it can move that fast, and I think we need to remember that, to keep that in mind, because
and police clearly getting ready to go
things
in.
can change. Things can change in a generation. They have changed in a generation. The
Of
worst
this sort
thing
of
I
stuff
ever
around
had
the
there
world, and I've never
was an
seen
English
this many
teacher who
police
didn't seem to
moving
like what I
into
was
one
arguing.
area.
And all I said
Let's talk
was,
about the shot
I wrote something on voucher schools and how I thought that we needed more choice in education. Well, that paper was a B, but that was the first time I had seen it, and it was in the English department.
So
I've taken many classes in the International Affairs department, all over the campus, and I'll tell you, I had not seen anything at all that felt like it could ever go in this direction. I think the wokeism is something that's really gotten higher and higher, and it's escalated and escalated. And part of the reason it escalated was due, in fact, to the reality that, of course, we had.
This shot we're seeing now.
We had Black Lives Matter and COVID, and people all pent up. And so then that gave birth to a whole new group of people that wanted to protest. Well, I'll tell you, they're not having it. They're not having it. Here is hang on, this is another shot. This is just police have begun entering Hamilton Hall, the building, through a second floor window, and they are deploying tear gas inside. That's per reports. So again, that is just a report that's unconfirmed at this point, but they're going to be doing what they need to do. Let's face it, right? I mean, that is just something to be up against. Again, let me bring you that video of the police moving in, the thinking that they would have to use tear gas here to manage the situation. I mean, I can't imagine the students are really armed with matches, just that they're physically resisting this arrest. So that's just a report. I want to be cautious about that before we double down on that. So again, the New York PD having to go up on that ladder. Hundreds of them, it seems as though, maybe an over-exaggeration, but it's a lot of police officers going up and reportedly carrying the tear gas. I'm hearing from a dear friend who is a longtime Columbia guy, who wants to come on, who has donated a lot of money actually to the school. And he's donated this money with with expectations of being, this is a great place, a great learning institution. And he's devastated. He and his wife are absolutely devastated. One, by the lack of willingness of the administration to actually communicate with them in terms of scholarship. Basically just wanted some kind of recognition that the student who got that scholarship would understand that it was a Jewish family giving that student that opportunity, and they couldn't get to first base. And so this was just really, I think obviously disappointing for them, and now we're looking at this scenario here. I would love to see whether or not the New York mayor is going to come out and have any words to say. This, unfortunately, this video I'm about to show you is ever so slightly more violent. Obviously, be cautious in terms of what we are showing here, but you can see the protesters becoming a little bit more aggravated, and that's quite evident in this video that you're seeing at this moment. Okay, my dear friend is not able to come on because he's a smart man. He is in bed. but maybe we'll get him back tomorrow. But there's somebody who went to Columbia undergrad, Columbia School of Engineering, Columbia Law School, and has just a very storied history with the school. So this is terrible to see. I mean, I wonder what's going to happen now, too. Don't forget, there's been some very important people that have said enough is enough. Robert Kraft, who said, I'm taking my money, bye-bye. You have Leon Cooperman, very successful money manager, fund manager, hedge fund manager. And he has said, I'm out. Well, actually, no, for me, he did not say I'm out. He's put a lot of pressure on the school. He's threatened to say I'm out. Rob Kraft is going to say I'm out. But, how do you want your money going and supporting this? I mean, think of that. Absolutely out of the question. But there have been politicians that really, unfortunately, have been stirring the pot. And one of them is, of course, none other than Ilhan Omar. She had a daughter at school at Barnard. The daughter was out there saying, oh, well, they put chemical weapons on us, this, that, and the other. None of which was true. It's a total spread of misinformation. Forgive me, I'm looking over to the side because the team, the producers, are just sending in video as it comes. And I want to make sure that we are bringing you the very, very best here. I do have Ilhan Omar, and I think this is important for you guys to see. The audio is a little tough, so you're going to have to listen pretty hard, but well worth it indeed. This is Ilhan Omar saying something really pretty disturbing, and I think stirring the pot in a really unnecessary and aggressive way, something that her Democrat lawmakers called her out. Okay, we'll try one more time to see if we can get Ilhan in there, and I believe this will work.
Do you think this will translate to the Jewish students who are facing anti-Semitism here on campus?
So I actually met a lot of Jewish students that are in the encampment, and I think it is really unfortunate that people don't care about the fact that all Jewish kids should be kept safe and that we should not have to tolerate
That's tough to hear, I know.
anti-Semitism or bigotry for all Jewish students.
But she says we must protect all Jewish students, those that are pro-genocide and those that are not pro-genocide. So what an outrageous thing to say, right, when you think of it? Oh, yeah, I want to protect all Jews. And then to say some are pro-genocide, that is really unacceptable. But this is what she said, and now even her Democratic lawmakers, Democrat Aguilar, is coming out saying that this was just atrocious. I'll let him say this. Pete Aguilar, really quickly, he makes the point.
It's not the language I would have chosen. It's not something I would have said. And as I mentioned previously, I think we all have an obligation to turn the temperature down, especially when we're in those positions where people are listening to us, and when we're speaking to people who feel passionate about issues. We do that in our own offices. We do that in our districts, every week, every month. That's important, but it's not language I would use.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's not the language I would have chosen.
Not language you would use. Thank you very much.
It's not something I would have said.
Delighted
and as I mentioned previously,
I think
we all have.
I mean, look, this is not acceptable what's going on tonight. And again, I'm just going to bring you some more pictures, but yet it's been brewing, right? It's been happening. It's been very much in the making over the last several of weeks because nobody's been willing to take the tough stand and actually settle any of this down. It's been out of control. And every time they said, hey, we're going to make a move on this, they wound up not doing so. And that, in fact, is so much a part of the problem. I do want to show you another clip here because this is very important. Just as we try and understand what's really going on, there are people over on MSNBC that actually have no problem really with any of this. And this troubles me. So earlier today, we showed you, if you were watching the live show, a section with Joy Reid, who just seemed to think that there was really no issue at all. This was just nothing but kumbaya, and that they were singing and having a grand old time. And it just shows you how there's such a motivation, a political motivation, to deliver a certain kind of spiel, a certain kind of narrative. Here is Joy Reid on MSNBC.
Mark, these students singing and singing about peace and singing salam, singing words of peace. So it just didn't square with what I was even hearing on television and television commentators saying was shrieking anti-Semitism. I didn't hear it.
No, I was there yesterday, and it was very peaceful and very moving. One of the institutions affiliated with Columbia, of course, is Union Theological Seminary, and the Union students held a Sunday worship service and served communion there on the campus, even to those beyond the gates who couldn't get in. So this betrays the imagery of there being violent rhetoric spewed. I will say this, I do have a colleague whose daughter is a freshman at Barnard, and she has faced some harassment, but as Mariam said, these are outliers. And in the movement, we've always had
It happened at Black Lives Matter rallies.
Yeah, you've got provocateurs.
Yeah.
So but in general, it's not a good idea to generalize what's going on. These are peaceful and nonviolent demonstrations.
Let me, what do you make of the leaders of your school seeming, I guess, to appease maybe members of Congress that have been all over your president and want her to resign, calling the NYPD on you all?
It feels like it's been a McCarthyite campaign to try to equate our peaceful protests, calling for them to divest from violence, and then they're calling us violent instead. It was absolutely horrifying to be carried out in zip ties when we were, just peacefully calling for an end to the violence.
Okay. Yeah. You keep telling yourself that, guys. I mean, you just keep telling yourself. I don't think that we can look at this and assume that this is just a peaceful situation. Not when you've actually had to cut down, you've actually had to make sure that there could be no college classes actually even going on, and going out to some of your comments in just a second. But I'm just appalled by all of this. I really am. And I'm disappointed in the university president. I'm reading a headline right now. Columbia president holds on for now as student protests spiral. Manoush Shafik is facing strains from all sides as turmoil on campus escalates. But for the moment, the university board has her support. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I'm looking at that, and if I am on the university board, she definitely does not have my support in this moment in time. This is truly unacceptable, should not be happening. It's really, just frankly, a disgrace in every way. Let's go over to the New York Post, just take a look at some of the headlines coming in from us there. You see cracking down, dozens arrested as New York City says we're not gonna deal with it, right? We're just not gonna deal with this anymore. And we're getting more and more video into us at this moment. I want to go out to some of this right here again. Some of it coming in from AP. Let's see if we can take a look. Okay, and there's more.
It's not the language I would have chosen.
Forgive me.
It's not something I would have said. And as I mentioned,
clearly getting ready to go in. I've covered lots of this sort of stuff around the world, and I've never seen this many police moving into one area.
Okay, let's talk about this shot we're now. Hey, Miguel, this shot we're seeing now. Where is this control room? Where's this?
This is 114th Street, east of Broadway. So they are as close to campus as you can get. They're in, and police clearly getting ready to go in. I've covered lots of this sort of stuff around the world, and I've never seen this many police moving into one area.
Okay, let's talk about this shot we're now. Hey, Miguel, this shot we're seeing now. Where is this control room? Where's this?
This is 114th Street, east of Broadway. So they are as close to campus as you can get. They're in, and police clearly getting ready to go in.
So dozens now have been arrested
of this sort of stuff
as
around
the cops
the world,
went in pretty dramatically, storming Columbia's university, anti-Israel mob.
This shot we're seeing now.
And we have more video coming to us right now, including I want to show you some Columbia students who do not seem to entirely, well, maybe, they're trying to say whether or not they might have made a mistake here. I'll let you decide whether you think they have any ground to stand on. Let's take a look at the Columbia University speaking on CNN. Columbia University students.
If they confront somebody and something is thrown at them, sprayed at them, tossed at them, they want to be prepared.
It seems like, John, they would be entering this. I mean, it looks. I would imagine they're going to be entering this building from multiple locations. I mean, one of the concerns that law enforcement has expressed is, how many of these people inside this building are actually students, and if they're not students, who are they?
Yeah, so they're going to have to sort people out, and they're going to have to sort people from who is a Columbia student, who is an outsider. Will they be charged the same or differently, depending on if they were a student or not? But their first thing is to collect those people, put them into custody, get them to a central location, and then start to move them out, because it's going to take a while to clear that building, because they're going to take everybody into custody that they can see who doesn't belong there. But then they're going to have to search the building to find out who may be hiding in some closet, some basement, some room, under a bed, either because they're frightened or because they're trying to avoid the police.
John, as we continue to watch this, Tim Naftali, a Columbia University professor and CNN presidential historian, also is joining us. Tim, I mean, you know Columbia well. I'm wondering what you make of what has been going on there, what you're seeing right now.
Well, I'm terribly concerned, and I'm very sad. I understand why the university saw the takeover of Hamilton Hall as an escalation.
Yep.
I look forward to learning why they decided to move now.
Because the kids took over the hall, for goodness sakes. Let me see if I can pull this up. And we can make this, yeah, there that shot is. So you can see, here we're going back there to the live pictures coming to us of AP right now. Thank you to AP for this feed. And you can see, it looks like things may have settled down. I think students, as he pointed out, might be hiding out in the Hamilton Hall, and they may not have everyone, but let's hope that things are back to a somewhat peaceful scenario as we close out the night here. Let's hope we're closing out the night, because we certainly don't want this to be a long one, and we do not want more violence. And it's truly devastating to see. I just want to go out to some of your comments, you guys, to hear your thoughts on all of this right now. By the way, this is like an extra. I was downstairs and I'm like, oh, wow, this is getting crazy. Okay, I just have to come back on and talk with you and share with you. Look, it's PWD saying, and Soros has funded it. Not all of it, but yes, Soros has funded part of this. And what's amazing to me, and I showed you this the other day, guys, is that in this Soros, the organization, the Palestinian Students Organization for Palestine, it's amazing because they said that they were choosing revolution over reform. They have no interest in reform. They were trying to create a revolution. And so when you go in on that mindset, it's like a warlike mindset, if you would, right? They want one thing and one thing only. And that's going to create a whole host of problems that we're seeing play out in real time right now. We saw Emory University, University of Texas, Princeton. You saw all kinds of things at UPenn, at MIT, obviously at Harvard. Claudine Gay losing her job at Harvard as a result of this. Claudine Gay, who incidentally was a senior when I was a freshman in high school up in New Hampshire. But Claudine Gay clearly was not able to do the job. And it is time. I'm looking at Hetty, who's saying it's time for the Columbia president to step down. It absolutely is. And I don't know how she keeps her job, really, in light of this. I don't know how that's entirely possible. It is spun out of control and mismanagement. HR 777 writes mismanagement. That indeed is what's happening. Now, I see a lot of new names here, which I'm really happy about, but that means I hope that you're subscribing. Do me that favor, guys. It's actually really important that you subscribe, that you hit the bell, and all that stuff, because I love seeing new people, and I want to make sure that you're coming back, because we have a show here every single day, and we're covering this stuff day in and day out. Joe, Mr. Decepcion writing, Joe is watching all of this on TV and eating his ice cream cone. I don't know. Where is Joe? Listen to this. The quad is now empty. There's no one left in the building. They're clearing everything out. Great news. About time. How many weeks has this been going on? Just incredible. Just horrendous. Just despicable.
inside the school.
Let's see if we can listen in.
Okay. Hamilton Hall is now secure, and the quad area is free of all people. The only thing that's left there are the tents and their property, and that will all be removed by Columbia University.
So what I'd love to see is classes resume tomorrow morning. Wouldn't that be great?
Was there any resistance, or did they all go home?
I have no reported injuries.
No reported injuries. Great news there, too.
There was no use of tear gas.
No use of tear gas. What do you know?
Did not use tear gas.
There was no use of tear gas. Remember when we were saying we were getting some live tweets and they were saying, oh, there was tear gas that they were being used, and I said we had to be skeptical of that. That's why I was skeptical.
And then a big contingent of protesters went up to City University. Just locations. Did the protesters themselves coordinate their activities tonight?
Well, you had them on the quad, you had them on Hamilton Hall. Everyone is now
City University, NYU, are they activating everywhere?
What's going on here? Right, folks, have a good night.
This is really a wonderful story. I mean, when you think about it, there was no tear gas used. There were no injuries. It's a testament to the success of New York PD. Y también en español. Yo hablo español. We can do this show another time. I get to start a Spanish station. But he's basically saying the same stuff. And he's got a better microphone for doing it. This is the assistant commissioner.
Guys, see you later. Thank you.
All right. Wow. Way to go, guys. Way to go. NYPD. Excellent, excellent job. You know, the president of the university ought to be sending them a big thank you right now. Question is, where do we go from here, right? Are they ever going to be satiated? I don't think they're going to be satiated. I think they're still going to be complaining. Tomorrow, this will not be enough. So what happens? You have to promise them, guess what, guys? You know what? You are going to be in so much trouble if you try it again. You're going to be kicked out. I actually think there should be no amnesty. Patrick, I'm completely in agreement with you. Absolutely no amnesty for them. None. You know, you screwed up, and we don't forgive that kind of stuff. We just don't forgive that kind of stuff. So, Dio Days, I'm happy to bring this to you. I'm actually not happy. It was settled in for my evening. I had no intention of, I'm thinking about what's going on for tomorrow's show. But this is one of those breaking live moments, and I needed to be here with you. Return the favor to me. Please make sure that you like and you hit the bell and you subscribe, and let's make sure that we continue this conversation and we keep it going here. Listen, guys, this should never be happening, but there's a community of people that want it and that are going to will it and that are going to do everything they can to disturb the peace. We saw it in 2020 with Black Lives Matter. And this is a continuation of the same exact stuff. And by the way, the same exact people. I mean, the same exact groups. They get a thing. They like to protest. And a lot of them are paid to protest. It's so interesting as they look at the arrests on campus. Not all of the people being arrested are actually students there. That doesn't surprise me. When you looked at all the tents there on display at Columbia University, they all looked the same. It's like they were just handing them out, right? That is an organized effort. I do believe that China has some involvement in this. I do believe, well, we know. New York Post reported it, $300,000 that George Soros was giving out so the kids could have $3,000 every few months if they were running this thing. And the woman who took the microphone, do you remember her? The woman who took the microphone with the law professor out in UC Berkeley? Gosh, she was a doozy, wasn't she? Well, that was a woman who actually was on the payroll. UC Berkeley, yeah. Let me see if I can pull that one up. She tried to grab the microphone, and the law professor's wife was like, no. And she tried to take it back because, they're just having a nice little garden party. Well, she went there on a mission. She's being trained as a revolutionary. This is what these people are. And so they're getting everybody all excited, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And we don't do this, nobody can. So many of these kids don't even understand, sadly, what they are protesting. And that's pretty darn shameful. Why would you lend your name and your reputation and your face to that if you don't really understand fundamentally what you are protesting? And so that's pretty sickening when you see it. But this is what's happening right now. And I'm also fascinated because I'm seeing this division. I'm almost seeing like a black-white division, which is very concerning to me. But you see the Joy Reids of the world over on MSNBC. People of color are saying this is so unfair. You've got Ilhan Omar blasting the Jewish students Remember what she said. They're either pro-genocide or pro-Palestine. I mean, wow. So you got just a confluence of things. And then you've got Donald Trump saying, what the heck? They got real problems in the world, but all they can do is focus on me. All they can do is focus on me. This particular video, I will commend Columbia for having kicked out this student. Did you guys see this one the other day? It's pretty awful. I hope I can play it. Let's see. Maybe it's not going to come through. And you know what? Maybe that's a good thing because he might have had some obscenities, etc. But this guy, he was just an awful, awful, awful kid and basically expressed such magnificent hate against anybody who's a Zionist or a Jew that he did get expelled. And it's really important that he got expelled. We're happy he got expelled. And hopefully not to be heard from again. I mean, would you hire a kid from one of these schools right now? I don't think I would. Certainly not a liberal kid from one of these schools. Absolutely not. I just want to thank you again for being with me tonight. Make sure that you subscribe. Leslie, it's good to see you. Leslie, my good friend who's here. Rodman, welcome. I'm thrilled. I'm seeing so many new names. Who know? I'm on at a different time. So there you go. Anyway, hit the subscribe button. I'm back here with you tomorrow. Let's hope the rest of the evening goes rather peacefully there in the streets of New York City. It does break my heart. Spent a lot of time on that campus, and I have a lot of really fond memories. And so this is a sad moment in Columbia's life for sure. I'll see you tomorrow.